whose face was taken, or an image of their face was taken from a profile picture of a WhatsApp video call and morphed onto porn and then blackmailed. Another person who lost 1.5 lakh from her account when she acted on a mail allegedly from her bank asking for her KYC details. What's common to both? Knowingly or unknowingly, their personal data or their personal information was put online. Now, you're wondering, this could be any one of us. Yes, you are absolutely right, it could. So much of our lives are spent online nowadays, and the question is, are we safe in this new world? Hello and welcome to a special We the People on safety in the cyber world, a show that aims and hopes to keep you safe on the internet. Cybercrime includes everything from theft and embezzlement to data hacking, identity theft, and according to studies, it's been up by 600% as a result of the pandemic. Tonight on We the People, we're asking, what do you do if you're a victim of a cybercrime? What is the government's role in protecting the public from digital breaches? What is the role of schools, colleges, universities, the media in raising awareness? How do you alert the youth about the potential threats of the dark side of the web and sensitize our youth about ensuring their personal security at all times? How do we empower parents to keep young people safe in this online world? That's not all. What is metaverse? Will it lead to increased cyber crimes? Are the government cyber security policies equipped to deal with all of this? Well, joining us on the show to try and help us navigate all of this is Rakshit Tandon. He's the head training cyber peace at the Cyber Peace Foundation. Head of training at the Cyber Peace Foundation, a cybersecurity expert, a consultant with the Internet and Mobile Association of India. We have Kazim Rizvi, founder of The Dialogue, Mishi Chaudhary, a technology lawyer, founder of the SFLC.in, joining us from New York. We have Amit Dubey, a national security expert and a crime investigator on cyber forensics and ethical hacking. Saurabh Srivastav, assistant professor at the Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, and Harish R, senior research associate in cybersecurity and also at the Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. First of all, before we can tackle anything, we need to know the extent and the enormity of what we're dealing with, right? So, Rakshit, to you first, Rakshit Tandon, do we have a problem of cyber crime, and have such crimes been increasing?
Yes, it has increased and tremendously increased. We have seen a tremendous increase during the lockdown as well. There is a tremendous digital transformation in the society now. And right from young kids to adults, we are digitally connected. We are wired for our payments, we are wired for our education, we had this work from home, and that is where on the super highway we had so many accidents of cyber crimes. We have seen data breaches where the data which has been breached through various e-commerce and m-commerce application is being weaponized to used against us as a cyber crime. We have seen increased in crypto scams, we have seen an increase in pornography. CSAM, that is child sexual abusive material, where India being one of the most, you can say, uploading voluminous content of CSAM. We have seen an increase in online scams where people have been losing their hard-earned money to the hackers, whether it is a message or an SMS coming to you for saying that your electricity will be cut down, or it's a Insta loan application which can not only give you a loan and then these loan wolves will lead to an harassment where people have committed suicide, but also it will steal your personal information with the help of that application. So these mobile apps are now, we are seeing more of malware attacks through mobile applications where your personal informations like contact, photographs can be stolen. So there is a voluminous increase, definitely. And the reason is lack of awareness, lack of education to handle these kind of situations where people are just having a smartphone and they just dive into the technology without understanding the dangers.
Well, that's why we are trying to, make a difference and trying to focus on topics like this. I like your analogy of that super highway, and that's where you see more accidents and more crimes. Amit Dubey, I started off by mentioning those case studies, right? So when this happens, what should one do? What recourse does one have? Because, you know, if a robber came into our homes, I know what to do. We know we have to call 100 or dial, you know, 911 or whatever. But what do you do if you're a victim of a cybercrime?
So first of all, we need to understand the types of cybercrime, first of all, because every types of cybercrime will be dealt differently. You cannot file the complaint to the police and get relief instantaneously if it is a financial crime, or if it is a social media crime, or if it is a corporate fraud, or if there is any other kind of crime like you have. I think Rachit has mentioned many of these types. So if you are a victim of a financial cybercrime, the very first thing you have to do is to dial a number called 1930. It's an helpline number given by Ministry of Home Affairs in India. And this number will help you to freeze the account where the money is transferred. You can give the transaction details. You can give all these, if it is UPI transaction or whatever is the medium of transaction. If you give those details, they will identify the target account and they will freeze it. They'll landmark it, which means nobody will be able to withdraw the money from that account. That is the first thing that you have to do. Because the money is there, you will have a hope to get it back. Second thing, you need to file a complaint to the police. Yes, www.cybercrime.gov.in is a portal given to you where you can file an online complaint as well. You also need to inform to your bank, because as per the RBI guidelines, if you inform to your bank within 3 days, your entire money will be returned, your entire money will be back. But you have to do this very fast because the guidelines are like that. So once you inform to your bank, they'll ask you to submit a complaint copy to the police as well, so you can provide that copy as well. But these three things that you have to do instantaneously if you are a victim of a financial cybercrime. But if you are a victim of social media crime or cyber identity theft or impersonation or cyberbullying or this child pornography or something, then there are different other mechanisms where you need to inform. There are different other helpline. For example, every state has a women and children related helpline. In UP, we have 1090. So if you are a social media victim of any kind of crime, you need to inform there. And you can also inform anonymously. You don't need to reveal your identities, you don't need to reveal your whereabouts, but if you just tell about the criminals, they'll take an action. They'll definitely take an action. And just for your information, especially in UP, we have close to 98-99% resolution rate, especially on these helplines. So these are very effective. People are not aware of it. I think we need to spread that awareness. And if there is a corporate crime, then the process is different, because you go to any other police station, you apply, you file your complaint under 420 or whatever section is applicable, IT Act as well. But then the course of investigation will be different, because there could be some state-sponsored bodies, those have attacked and made you a ransomware victim, where they are charging ransom and to decrypt your data, or they would have hacked your mobile phone or servers or anything. So there are different types of cybercrime. First of all, we need to understand, and every type of crime will be dealt differently.
Oh my God, this is mind-boggling, terrifying, intimidating. I mean, so many options. 1930, I think that is everybody's like social security code now, something we should have on our fingertips, like general knowledge. I will admit I didn't know about this. So thank you, Amit, for sharing that important information with us. So then, you know, it certainly sounds like we have, this is the methodology, what we need to do. I mean, hopefully we don't have to go on to Google to check, what do I do now that you find out something's happened to you. But Mishi Chaudhary, do we have rights? Do we have rights to our data privacy, and is that realistic in today's world? I ask this because when you're on your phone, you have these location apps, online ordering. Our lives are so entwined that it's impossible not to be online, right? And all the time, apps are asking for your contacts, pictures, location. What if an app really needs the location data for functioning? Some people, I'm told, are asked for Aadhaar card details while booking hotels. Do we have a right to keep our data private, be productive in our society, and do we know like what's to be shared and what's not?
There's not a simple answer to that. We do have a right to privacy, as the Supreme Court says, but in terms of an actual law in practice, which prohibits private parties and companies from this vast collection of data, whether they require it to provide that service or not, but just this scooping of data. For that, we do not actually have a law right now. The government has been discussing that law for 5 years. There has been committees. The bill was actually tabled in the parliament, but it was withdrawn recently. It's going to be perhaps reintroduced in the winter session of the parliament.
We're talking about the personal data protection bill?
Yes, we are talking about the data protection bill, and hopefully there will be a version of it. But even if when we get a law is a basic requirement, but that is not going to guarantee the kind of protection we all require online. I think it will always be a mix of our own ability to secure ourselves online, plus various stakeholders like the government, the police, and everyone who's educating to work together so that we can get the advantages of the digital world without constantly being worried about the fact about data protection, data collection, etc. So few of the things which we must do ourselves are basic hygiene, etc. Of course, this educating ourselves is important. And instead of just brushing it, this privacy thing doesn't really matter, I don't care about it, because it, as you earlier only said, it's now every aspect of our life. Banking, finance, education, jobs, everything is there. So if we were to follow a few basic things,
what are these? Could you give us some simple basic tips? Like, for you know, when you go online and they ask you accept cookies, I think, you know, I know I sound really like naive, but it's just become the norm. You say yes, 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 because you want to get on to reading that article, or you want to get your deadline in, or whatever it is. So what are the 5 basic tips that you could share? Simple.
Great. It's not just you. It's even, I'm a lawyer. I don't read every term and condition because it is deliberately written in a complicated way, so that all of us can quickly just say, I accept, and nobody bothers to read it.
Scroll down and click, I accept.
So I think it's all of us. So that's why some basic things which we must do, and I'm going to start with something which is to say that be always skeptical. Don't try to trust anything just because it is online. Somehow it becomes trustworthy. Don't try to click on links if they have been sent from phone numbers you don't identify, or somebody sends you an email. Don't do that. The second thing I would say is always have a password manager. It is very hard to remember passwords. There's so many passwords. And we generally tend to use very simple things. 111, password, admin, or I don't know, a dog's name or something very simple. And we can't expect everybody to be worried about this all the time. So the interesting thing now is there are services like a password manager where you only have to remember one password, and then they will randomly generate passwords for various other websites you will be accessing. So do that. Second, don't store your credit card information as well as everything just out of convenience with various websites. I know it is very convenient if you continuously order from Swiggy or Zomato, or you shop on a particular website to say everything gets auto-filled. But you are actually inviting trouble, because that time the data is very vulnerable. And you, although many of the companies do try to use and take various steps to protect us, but we can guarantee it. And in terms of like hacking, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Oh, wow.
So that's why inconvenience for now is something which we would do. Then multi-factor authentication. This is 2-factor authentication or various other people. This means if you've gone on a banking website, etc., what they would say is that they would send you an OTP on a phone number, or there is one more way where you get a code, and so your identity is at least verified in 2 forms. Google also offers it. Various other services offer that. So always use that, because even if somebody has your data, if that is enabled, then you'll have to have one extra layer. So those are a few things I would say. But other than, I think as a commandment, don't overshare. I know that it is very tempting to put every single thing online, because if it didn't happen on Instagram, did it even happen in real life? So, but we want to be a little careful. Always keeping our location enabled is a major issue for data collection. I understand when you want to order an Ola or an Uber, or if you want to look up a map, it makes sense to enable your location, but you don't want to do that forever. And now for Android phones, for iPhones, for various other phones, there is an ability to actually limit that sharing of location as well. So we could follow those, be a little more careful about what we are sharing online. Because there is actually a thing like too much information. There is a thing about geotagging. It's convenient, but it doesn't mean that it is not going to create problems down the road for you. So those few things will go a long way in helping us.
Okay. Amishi Chaudhary, you touched upon something, so I want to go Qasim, Rizvi, perhaps. You know, obviously, like as Mishi said, we need a data privacy law. Do we have one? She mentioned how this week the government withdrew that personal data protection bill for 2019. If it's such a serious problem, why is it that we don't have one? Are we not aware as a society, as a government, that this is a serious issue?
No, I think the government is aware. I think the society is also aware. I think there are a lot of recommendations by the Joint Parliamentary Committee. So the government thought, okay, it's better to go back to the drawing board and come up with a new bill. I think what we've been seeing in the news as well is that the government is saying by early 2023, hopefully we will have a data protection bill. But I think, you know, it's been 5 years since the right to privacy was adjudicated. In fact, it was August 2017. We are going to celebrate 5 years on 27th or 28th August. I'm not forgetting the exact date of the judgment. When the Supreme Court adjudicated right to privacy as a fundamental right. So of course, you know, we've seen this happen in the past. We've had 3 iterations of the bill in the past. We've had 2 committees sit on the bill. So I think there's a lot of information, there's a lot of research and a lot of suggestions, both from the civil society as well as the academia, as well as from other stakeholders. So I think the government has all the information it needs to be able to now come up with a very robust data protection bill, which I do believe is a need of the hour, especially when you're looking at emerging technologies, right? And when you're looking at the digitization happening at such rapid scale, you need a bill which future-proofs you as a society. Unfortunately, we don't have anything right now. So even though we have a right to privacy by the Supreme Court, it's impossible for a citizen to operationalize that right. Companies, data fiduciaries are still collecting data based on their old practices. And they will be regulated more. They will be auditing. There will be more checks and balances on the companies who collect this amount of data once the bill is enacted. But that road is still some way to go. So I think it's important that, you know, I think it's critical that, you know, we keep talking about this in the public domain. And I think it's important that eventually once the bill comes in, you know, the ecosystem is ready to implement the bill. And things have to move faster, and hopefully that will happen very soon. But we also have to be aware that with the rise of digitization, more and more people going online, India becoming one of the fastest growing internet economies in the world, it is imperative that we come up with a bill which protects us in a way where emerging technologies are also taken care of, and also we look at the overall impact the data has on our lives. I think the privacy standards have to be very high. It has to be an interoperable bill. It has to be a bill which caters to the 21st century.
And so we're increasingly going online. Many of them are the youth. I want to talk specifically about the perils of the online world for teens, young adults, online violence, data theft, cyber stalking, cyber bullying, child abuse, as you've all mentioned, identity theft, phishing. But let's just get in. We have some young viewers joining in, and they had some questions. So let me, Vaishali and Ishita, could you unmute and then go ahead with your questions? Vaishali?
Good evening, everyone. And here I go with my question. With the booming growth of digital India, we see an increase in the users in the age group which is not tech savvy. How do we expand the awareness about data security to such segments of people?
Okay, how do you increase awareness, but specifically to segments that aren't tech savvy, perhaps the elderly? Is that what you're talking about, or is it the really young? Both.
The really young ones.
Okay, very young. Okay, and Ishita, what's your question?
Hi, good evening. My question is that what measures should we take to keep our data safe on mobile phones specifically?
Okay, so we've had Mishi Chaudhary's just been given us some very good basic 5 points that should cover you. So let me go across to Vaishali's point to how do we expand awareness about data security to the segments of the youth really who are increasingly going online but aren't aware. I'm glad we have educationists here. Saurav Srivastav, first to you, have you experienced instances of cybercrime in the context of your own students at your university? First, could you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So this cybercrime is happening on the daily basis. Even some students, their family members are getting scammed by people, mostly regarding the banking scam. So as their parents are not too much aware of the OTP system and credit card and debit card system, they are getting scam calls, and they are like people are telling that they are calling from bank, and people are sharing their OTP with them and getting scammed. So it's a very common nowadays to get scammed for the people who are not too much related to technology. They don't know about what's going on in the real technological world.
But for example, do we have courses at the university level? I mean, these are life skills in a sense. Are we teaching them to our schools, in our schools?
Yeah, so the basic courses belongs to cybersecurity essentials, which we are teaching, in which we are just providing them an intro to all the cyber awareness and cyber attacks, the attacks which talk about like cyber bullying, cyber identity theft, and phishing attack, and whatever attacks you talk about. We are just introducing these courses to all the students and telling them how to avoid this. In later phase of our BTech program, in MTech program, we are making them expert in this field, that how to avoid this situation, how to even try to find the who is attacking the victim.
So, and we also have Harish. Harish, I want to ask you then something that Mishi Chaudhary mentioned that I'm not sure I know what it means, but she said cyber hygiene. I'm guessing that means yes, we need to teach us how to protect ourselves, but do we also need to teach students about right values, ethics, right behavior, how to be responsible for online behavior?
Yeah, exactly. That was a wonderful question. So yeah, as the experts also suggest, here in Tifakur Amrita Vishwavidyapitham, we provide some of the guidelines to the students from the UG level and also from the master's level, by saying that other than the technical, ethical behaviors, they have to be also psychologically aware. So we bring up a concept called cyber psychology. So we have to make sure that all the students are aware of what has to be done, and if something goes wrong, what to do immediately. So we are providing some trainings here, so that the students level, even from the first year, we are providing some guidelines to them, so that they can able to understand the psychological behavior of a cyber attack, both technically and also in the psychological manner. So that, for example, if a student is facing an attack, it can be a phishing attack, or it can be a banking scam, or it can be a cyber bullying, or it can be any kind of a cyber stalking too. They will be knowing what to do at this time. Okay, let's say, for example, someone is stalking me and I'm being noticed in online. Some of my behavior is being changed without my control, so they will react accordingly. So if it is to be reported to the respective persons, they will do it immediately. If it gone beyond their hands, if it become a cybercrime, they know exactly what to do, where to go and file a complaint. So yeah, we are providing them a cyber hygiene behavior here. And also, as a research part, we are engaging them with all the activities which is related to maintaining the cyber hygiene.
Well, it's very reassuring to hear all this in a sense. I mean, I know it's probably just a drop in the ocean. A lot more needs to be done, and this needs to be done on a larger scale across India, I think. But that led me to think, to ask Rakshit Tandon, this is all uncharted territory, right? We're figuring things out as we go along. And we had Harish R talk about the changes that you see in yourself, what signs to pick up. So my question to you is, what about parents? Like, how do parents help protect their kids when we don't even know what's out there? And then how do we keep our children safe in an online world? I know you speak at a lot of schools. Our producer remembers being in school and you came and you made quite an impression on her. So, but what about parents? Do you do workshops with parents, and like how can you help parents? You need to unmute, Rakshit.
Sorry. So, Wes, we've been aggressively working with parents and we're doing workshops across India. And now parents become a very important stakeholder, especially for the younger ones. And I think the target parent should be from grade 3 to grade 9. These are the people which are very important to be educated and sensitized, because see, the problem we are facing with children and parents is that the communication gap is there. Number one, they don't know what kind of tools they are consuming, what kind of digital diet they are having. So we have started focusing parents to learn about having a balanced digital diet. So like in the real world, when my child goes out and consumes something wrong, the parents take care of him, take him to a hospital, give him the medicine, and he's cured. But when he goes online and he's playing with some application which is not age appropriate, he come across content which is not age appropriate. There is no discussion and dialogue in the family. There is no discussion about what happened to me. So the cyber psychology of the child is getting affected from that level itself. That is where we have problems, where the children are getting addicted to games. They are spending a huge amount of money on games. We have seen recent cases where a child lost 10 lakh rupees from a mother account on a game. So parents are not realizing that they are carrying a smartphone with a digital wallet. Your card details, your payment and UPIs are saved in your devices. And the same device, if you are giving to the child to play a game, you are at a high risk. So parents need to understand that. And the second thing is age appropriate content and parental control with screen time discipline. So the children should have a complete screen time discipline. They should have a balanced digital diet, and this can only be effectively done by parents. So we have started these sessions called technology parenting across India, where we are talking to parents and children in the same dialogue and making them understand what are the dangers, what are the safety measures, and how do you secure your child in the online space and give them only age appropriate content.
Wonderful and much needed. This truly is the need of the hour. Thank you for all of your service. Thank you all for joining us as we try to figure out how we as a whole, as an ecosystem, can come together to ensure the safety of our children and our young adults in an increasingly online world. This is a crucial conversation that really needs to be had, and I'm so glad we could do this and we could have you on We the People tonight, where we believe it's important to speak up, but it's also important to listen. Thank you all for joining us. Bye-bye.